Good morning from the Route 66 Hotel and Conference Center just south of Springfield, Illinois. Today we hit the Mother Road and we're going to Missori. Early morning, the sun is not quite up yet, but I have a few miles to go before the very first thing that we see along the Mother Road, so no worries. It's several miles down the road, and by that time there'll be more light. Today's ride is going to be rather ambitious. I'm going to travel 200 miles, and that may not sound a lot if you're in a car and on a highway. You can knock that off in pretty short order. But on the Mother Road, things roll a little bit slower. And of course, there are plenty of stops for things to see. Along the way, in a lot of the small towns between here and St. Louis, there's only one attraction according to the app and the book that I have. So we're gonna do a lot of drive-by sightseeing. Of course, I'll get out and take a look at some things, but for the most part, we're gonna try to keep rolling today. It's gonna be a great day. Lots of fun ahead. On Route 66, Main Street, America, the Mother Road. You can tell this is very old Route 66. A little bit of a bumpy ride. Route 66, of course, had many different alignments from 1926 until it was decommissioned in the 1980s. I'm not driving any particular alignment. In fact, I'm driving a little bit of all of them. It's just pretty much what I feel like driving as I move along Route 66 from Chicago to Santa Monica. We're approaching Interstate 55 again, and that's where our first stop is of the day, at Glemarm. Here's the Sugar Creek Covered Bridge. It's the only surviving covered bridge in Sangamon County. Built in 1880, it's 60 feet long, and it's the centerpiece of today's Pioneer Park. In Auburn, there are two historically significant segments from pre-1931 Route 66. Well, it's now State Highway 4. One is a 1,200-foot section of 16-foot wide roadway of the old Portland cement. That dates back to 1921. It goes right through this neighborhood, this very narrow stretch of old Route 66. And the second is a section of the roadway that was overlaid with red brick in 1932. I have no idea why they put brick on that road. It was rough for a modern car. Can you imagine cars 100 years ago going over that stuff? The only thing I can figure is somebody got a good contract deal to put brick down on the highway. We'll have to look into that one. Narrow curve. I mean, you can see the roadway is not very wide to begin with. I barely have a car. I don't even have a car width worth of pavement. Wow. These curves are much tighter and narrower than Dead Man's Curve. Better in this stretch. My car isn't that wide to begin with. Amazing. Look how narrow this is. The inner gravel completes the lane width, although the right tires would have to go off of the cement. That's another example of where they took an intersection and put a curve in. so that it was easier for Route 66 drivers to continue without stopping. This big truck gives you an idea of the width of the road. Now in the little town of Nilwood, again, very tight, narrow curves. These are the kinds of roads that drivers faced for 2,400 miles. Back in the day, you really had to do some driving. It was an effort.
You'll see several old small bridges along here.
It's not much more than a strip shopping center, but it has a big sign.
Carlinville Town Square has 19th century buildings along the brick-lined streets, including the Mother Road Antique Mall.
Famed architect E.E. Myers designed this building in 1867. It was budgeted at $50,000 to be paid by bonds and taxes, but a series of scandals and the courthouse construction was halted in 1870 as the cost exceeded $1.3 million. $1.3 million in 1870. Astounding. And at the time of construction, it was the second largest courthouse in the United States. It took the county 40 years to pay off the debt. It's referred to as the most magnificent courthouse in Illinois. E.E. Myers also designed the historic county jail. It was built as part of the courthouse project. Styled like a medieval fortress, it was built in Gothic Revival design, features a scalloped parapet which served as home to the sheriff and his family. This was completed in 1869. Myers also incorporated a unique design feature. Every stone was hollowed out at the ends and surplus cannonballs were placed between the stones. The cell block ceilings, walls, and floors were constructed of 1-inch iron plates with 20 inches of solid stone above and below, and that made escape by removing sections of the stone virtually impossible. It was used all the way up until 1988. Because of the building's age and environmental issues, the jail's been closed to the public.
Playing off of the town name, Carlinville Motel is an historic overnight rest stop for Route 66 travelers.
Off to the left is a very old alignment of Route 66, only used for a couple of years. This particular stretch of Route 66 is now Illinois Route 4, and this is pretty much a lot of what you see. It's all farmland in between the small towns. I'm taking a slight detour on Illinois 16 to cut across to Litchfield on a different alignment of Route 66 that's closer to I-55.
The Skyview Drive-In Theater has been in continual operation since 1951.
It's the only original drive-in theater that operates along Route 66 in Illinois. I think I'm a little early for the movie. I better roll out of here before they charge me admission.
Litchfield is a small town established in 1853 and was a long-time Route 66 stop, appropriately with a current population of 6,600. While some places did not survive the interstate, Litchfield is an exit for attractions like the drive-in theater, visitor center, and restaurants, among other businesses that brings constant local and outside traffic.
I'm here on a Sunday, so yeah, guess what? It's closed. Actually, I believe the Welcome Center opens a little bit later. I'm here early. This is the Ariston Cafe that originally opened in Carlinville in 1924, but then in 1929, founder Pete Adam relocated the restaurant to Litchfield. Construction of this current one was across the street from the original. The grand opening was July 5th, 1935. They added a wing, modern entry, and the interior of the building remains as it was in 1935. I'm here well before opening, but they were kind enough to let me take a look inside. All original tables, back bar original, beautiful woodwork.
This puts you into the past century with old wood and neon signs, black and white photos that haven't changed much and are easy to imagine colorized as you look around and compare with the present. The restaurant has a strong local patron base with plenty of room for those passing through. It's a Route 66 and interstate survivor. This Budweiser sign and the one inside are both original 1935 signs. European immigrants Albina and Vincenzo Carolla bought this land for a small service station in 1929. The Belvedere Cafe was built in 1937 and expanded in 1940 with a dance hall. But shortly after Interstate 55 opened, it closed. Here's a stretch of old road right outside of Litchfield. Continuing south and west is Mount Olive, smaller but with a notable stop. Henry Soulsby opened this in 1926, and this wasn't a company-designed gas station. Soulsby designed it and built it himself, and it remained a family-run business until 1993. Lot of old memorabilia here. Even back when the Cardinals were in St. Louis. That's a beautiful radio. Check out these old wooden floors. A lot of people have walked through here. Well, there we go. Part of Soulsby's service station. The pumps were of course upgraded as time went by, but this service station is a true original, opened as Route 66 was officially designated, later restored, and now proudly standing into the next century. This is Staunton resident Rich Henry's answer to the Cadillac Ranch. It's the Rabbit Ranch. Still a lot of tread left on that tire. 3 years before Route 66, Staunton's high school football team suffered a 233-0 rout from nearby Gillespie. At least in later years, residents could find comfort in petting the live rabbits Rich Henry kept in his yard. He also half-buried upended Volkswagen rabbits in a row in his tribute and connection with the Mother Road. Rich Henry had this property from 1947 to 1924. That's when he passed away. Rich Henry not only had VW rabbits, he also had live rabbits here. Ironic, since Rich Henry had rabbits. There's one of the rabbit cages. The family loosely maintains the home, and there's a steady stream of curious visitors, as this, of course, was a favorite quirky roadside attraction. Not only does it connect with the Cadillacs in Amarillo, Texas, but western Arizona, as the signs give a nod to the Jackrabbit Trading Post. These are the VW Rabbit convertibles. Once upon a time, I owned and drove 2 VW Rabbits. Both of them were diesel, and both got incredible mileage. 10-gallon tanks, 500-mile range. Couldn't beat them. Bought each of them for $100 and drove them for years. So easy to maintain. They were good little cars. They are the distant cousins to the 911. We have a group of French-speaking tourists checking out Route 66 in their Cruise America rental RVs. journey from Illinois to Missouri took me a full day, but you can see all of Route 66 that I drove in today's episode in just under 14 minutes. It's on GPS too. The link is in this video's description. Dating to the early 1930s, this historic roadhouse once included cabins and a dance hall. Some locals say it also had gambling and a brothel.
Yep, that's a big chair in Staunton, Illinois. Besides Main Street, Frontage Road has to be one of the most popular road names. And Frontage Road for Route 66 means it's next to the highway. In fact, if you see a frontage road next to any highway, that's probably one of the old route roads that the highway has replaced. No, those aren't tourists parked there. It's Sunday.
From Mother Road to Mother Mary, this church is a proud member of the Route 66 congregation with a blue neon cross on its roof.
This classic roadhouse has gone by many names since it opened in the late 1930s. Today on Route 66, you can call it Wheezy's. An iconic structure in Edwardsville is Wilde Theater. Opened in 1909 as an opera house. It closed in 1984 after more than 60 years as operating as a theater, and then in 1999 it reopened as a theater and a performing arts center after it underwent extensive renovation.
We're fast running out of real estate in Illinois as the Mississippi River approaches. Granite City has a string of old Route 66 motels and stops, either enticing motorists to rest for the night before they tackle driving through St. Louis, or rewarding their eastbound journey just after crossing the river. Either way, time has passed by many of these places. You can still stay at some, understanding they're likely well beyond their glory years. The old flea market and cafe is still going strong.
The Luna Cafe dates back to 1924. Local legend says the cafe was just on the main floor. The basement, meanwhile, was used for illegal gambling and the upstairs for prostitution. The neon sign out front is still standing. It has a cherry which used a ruby glass to enhance its red glow. Legend has it, if the cherry was lit, well, the girls were in.
Historic Route 66 passes over the Chain of Rocks Canal as it now quietly runs west to yet another dead end. But it's really still a destination for many who live in either Illinois or Missouri. This is a park area perfect for walking, running, and riding bikes. On a nice day, the traffic can potentially be heavier than it ever was when this portion of Route 66 was open. Just follow the well-preserved Portland Cement Thruway to the Chain of Rocks Bridge.
The Chain of Rocks Bridge. Route 66, crossing the Mississippi. This is it. To think how much traffic came across this bridge over the years. We talk about the centennial of Route 66, but many parts of it haven't been used for a long time. And bridges like this, you know, they probably got 50, 60 years worth of use, and then have been sitting idle for 30 to 40 years. This is a perfect use of an old bridge. You can walk, you can bike. The gate was open. I was tempted to drive, but that wouldn't work out too well. Super windy, as you no doubt can hear. Wow.
Opened in 1929, the mile-long bridge carried traffic until 1970. It's named for the rocky rapids it crosses, a major navigational hazard until the bypass canal was built.
St. Louis way off in the distance.
Nope, I'm not going to be able to record any comments here.
Yeah.
The gusts are overpowering. The distinctive sharp 22-degree turn in the bridge was needed to avoid dangerous rapids and anchor it in secure bedrock. The bridge was closed for 29 years until it was repurposed.
I feel like I've walked a long way, and I really haven't. This is a long, long bridge. This gives you an idea of what kind of a day it is. It's the weekend, it is so windy, and the bridge is empty. Yeah, I saw a few people. There's really not many people out here with this kind of wind. For an old bridge and old concrete, I have to say this really looks pretty solid. Wow, is it windy on the river. That was amazingly strong wind.
Back on the road as we follow a later alignment that will take us to a present-day river crossing, after which the drive through St. Louis and beyond straightens out. We find Mr. Twist Ice Cream, a classic ice cream parlor that still makes all of its ice cream in-house. And at the edge of the parking lot is a Route 66 signpost for Granite City. As always, there are plenty of old buildings not mentioned in any of the guides. Some remain open, some have new lives, most seem to be boarded up. Older than the Chain of Rocks Bridge, the McKinley Bridge was built in 1910. It's named for Congressman William B. McKinley, who was also president of the Interurban Railroad Company, which just happened to have made the bridge. A few years after opening, the rail bridge was modified to carry both trains and cars. It was the original Route 66 crossing for 2 years, and then an optional route for another 9 years. The bridge reopened in 2007 after renovation, and now includes pedestrian and bike paths. One of the details missing is a Missori welcome sign. I checked back on my video. Illinois has its sign. Well, no matter. We're now west of the Mississippi River, into the second state and second major city. Historic Route 66 now runs alongside I-70 as it winds through some of the old neighborhoods toward Tucker Boulevard. Most definitely once over the McKinley Bridge, traffic scattered throughout St. Louis because, well, the big city has a lot to offer, and a lot of drivers always seem to say they know a better and faster way to cross through. You're definitely allowed to skip this portion. The buildings are indeed old, mostly run down, and it's likely not the best of neighborhoods to be cruising through, with the top down no less. At least on a damp weekend it's quiet. These back streets have almost no traffic, certainly not like it was 50 years or more ago. But I continue to follow the old road, and it's not too long before it opens to a straight and wide ride into downtown. St. Louis was founded in 1764. The so-called Gateway to the West separated from St. Louis County in 1876 in what was known as the Great Divorce, after which the city has since operated independently. St. Louis is famous for many things: rich musical roots in jazz and blues, sports teams, of course, and the iconic Gateway Arch.
Well, we're off of Route 66 a little bit, but we couldn't come through St. Louis without doing a drive-through, at least, of the downtown area. Not really stopping to look at anything in St. Louis. As I've mentioned before, I'm just sticking to Route 66 proper as far as things that are on the side of the road. Very few things I'll go off of 66 to see. Gateway Arch, I've been up before. I'm not going to visit Gateway Arch today, but yeah, we'll take a look going by. Always fun to see. It is the gateway to the west, and we're headed west on Route 66. A couple of raindrops trying to come down, but at least we get a good view of the arch. The way this trip mapped out, I really didn't have any time to spend in St. Louis like I did in Chicago. Cruising Pine Street, heading west. After our brief sweep through downtown, I think we're going to go for Tucker Boulevard and hook back up with 66 proper. Coming up on Tucker. Of course, for so many people, when they reach St. Louis, they kind of scattered all over the place, different parts of the city before rejoining Route 66. So I'm not doing anything different than what a lot of other travelers have done. I don't know that we're going to escape the rain today. If this is just a passing shower and a couple of drops, or if it's about to open up. That's part of Route 66 is weather all through Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. You can get some really rough weather, especially in the springtime. All right, continuing now on our Route 66 adventure. The street we just passed, an older alignment of Route 66. As with so many older alignments, they only lasted for a couple of years. The majority of Route 66 existence was from 1935, 1940 routes on. And those are the routes that most people would remember. I mean, it's 100 years old, so who's around to remember the 1926 route? And if they are, well, they've had a blessed long life because they would have to be at least a few years old to remember Route 66 as a child and then live to be more than 100. Donut Drive-In dates back to 1952. It's got all the period signage, recently renovated facade. Although it's closed, it looks like it's just a DoorDash operation at the moment. Well, check that out. The owner was just closing up and he had a few leftovers and, well, I get an apple fritter. Isn't that cool? Ted Drew's Frozen Custard is a fixture on Route 66, and you only have to drive by here late on the weekend to see the parking lot is full. It's raining, it's windy, and there's a big line for Ted Drew's Frozen Custard. This started way back in 1929. Ted Drew Sr. was a tennis player, the winner of the Muni Tennis Championships each year from 1925 to 1936. And he also won the National Public Park Singles title for 4 straight years in the middle of the 1920s. Well, Ted, I guess, had to have something to do after he played tennis, and so he opened his first frozen custard store in Florida. In 1930, he opened another store on Natural Bridge Road in St. Louis and the South Grand store in 1931. In 1941, the family opened the second Southside stand, which is the current Chippewa location on historic Route 66. By 1958, the 2 Southside stands were all that remained. But as I said, this one is super busy.
A modern Holiday Inn kept an old hotel sign. Pretty cool. A former pancake house, perhaps? In Missouri, the brown historic Route 66 signs are replaced with blue signs. Always comforting to know you're still on track, since it can be easy at times to miss turns. Like most others, the tiny town of Eureka, west of St. Louis, has a downtown row of old buildings with modern shops, cafes, and restaurants. Just beyond is a Route 66 State Park, and what remains of the old Merrimack River Bridge.
Not much to see of the old Merrimack River Bridge, except what we drove under. Well, we'll continue on. I-44 West. Pacific is the next Route 66 town.
After a brief ride on I-44 out of St. Louis, we're on the Mother Road for the rest of the day.
Campbell's Service is a reimagined building designed to invoke a service station from the late 1950s. The building actually was a church at one time. The congregation outgrew the building and a man named Larry West had the opportunity to purchase the land for his neighboring contracting business and building to house the Route 66 collection that he bought from Dwayne Campbell. Just up the road is the Red Cedar Inn, a museum, visitor center, children's museum. Of course, they've got a gift shop as well. The building is home to the former Red Cedar Inn restaurant that was built in 1934 with wood logs from the family farm. The restaurant in its day was famous for fried chicken, other food, which remained open until 2005. Well, like Campbell's Service Station and Red Cedar Inn, Jensen Point Overlook and Beacon Car Wash come in rapid succession. All around these bluffs as you're cruising along Route 66. Beacon Car Wash, by the way, is still a very active car wash, all modern. Established in 1938, the Lewis Cafe. Virgil Lewis built it. Hard work and great service was his key to success. Lewis Cafe continued to operate with these principles through the years. In 1973, Fred and Marie Short, Virgil's nephew and niece-in-law, bought the restaurant. A bit of an oddity for St. Clair, Missouri. They have two water towers. One's hot, the other's cold.
The Jesse James Wax Museum appears to still be open, but not the neighboring toy museum. And finally, the Merrimack Cave, after miles of seeing billboards. Here's the long-abandoned Delta Motel. Shamrock Court was also among the string of old abandoned motels until 2026. Built in 1948, it has unique designs integrated into the stone facade and had been owned by the Wieland family for over 60 years. Now it's being renovated.
It has that new motel smell. This is nice. The old shell of the motel looks brand new, and the rooms are absolutely new. Look at that tile work. There you go. When you come to Sullivan, Missouri, book your room here. That's the first really good neon I've seen on the road so far. The tile in every room is different, I'm told. Really nice pink subway tile. Yeah, there won't be a bad room in the place. Anyone you pick is going to be great. Well, this was worth the stop.
Sullivan is the birthplace of George Hearst, who made a fortune in mining. His son, you may have heard of him, William Randolph Hearst, was the iconic publishing mogul, and Sullivan is where this published story comes to a close.
I hope you enjoyed the ride to Sullivan, Missouri. Thanks again for joining me on this leg of the journey, and there'll be more from Route 66. We'll see you next time. Safe travels, everyone.